So the next thing I want to talk about is page 25. Now we're getting into chords. Everything so far that you've learned in the book has been you guys playing the melody, right? Imagine you're like the lead singer in the band. You're playing, whether it was Vamanos, you're playing the melody. And I've been playing the chords behind you, right? So I'm kind of like the rhythm guitar and you've been the lead guitar. So now I want to start showing you chords, and I know some of you have already learned these chords, of course. But let's talk about chords. In our system of music, meaning Western, music, stuff that's derived from Western Europe, we really need three notes to define a chord: the root, the third, and the fifth. The two most basic chord quality types to start out with would be just playing major and minor, okay? And the most untechnical way to describe that would be that a major chord sounds happy. This is an A major. A minor, which I'm just bringing that middle note down a half step from the C sharp to a C. Now we get our A minor, which is the first chord we're going to learn. This has a bit more of a sad sound. Right, so in a movie, and for a sad scene, you would hear something. Minor chords, right? If it's a happy scene in the movie, so it's an interesting concept to think about why we find those that way. Is it something that we've been enculturated to by seeing them in those contexts, or is there something really inherent to the sound that makes us feel happy and makes us feel sad? But you can feel that flatted third kind of brings you down. So what we're concerned with today are one minor and one major. This is the A minor chord, and this is the C major chord. You'll notice one finger only moved between those. Okay, so that's the beauty of learning these first two chords. You're going to feel a bit of a stretch, particularly on the C. And this is why I want you to, everything you play, even from day one, the piece Vamanos, to be really conscious of stretching those fingers out. Because when we stretch them out, even if we're playing something very simple, it helps us when we go to play chords. You can see the stretch on the C major chord is very similar to the stretch just playing E, F, G that we learned on our second day of class. So let's talk about these chords. I want you to think about the chords as having a root note, which would be the A or the C in this case, and then a chord quality, which would be major, minor. Okay, chords can be all different kinds of chords: A minor, A major, A sus, right? A sharp 9, flat 9, sharp 9, flat 13, all different kinds of chords. But remember, root note, chord quality. So for the A minor, what you're looking at is like you're flipping your guitar towards you. Okay, this is the fretboard diagram. So the vertical line on the far left is your low E, and then it goes E, A, D, G, B, E from left to right on the page. Okay, so you'll notice there's a big X on the low E, and that means that we're supposed to avoid the low E if possible. Okay, so we don't want to strum this. It is a note in the chord, but we want the lowest note of the chord, the lowest root note of the chord, to be ringing as the lowest note. Okay, so we want the A to be ringing. Okay, so you got to skip the low E string. We'll talk about that in a bit. Take your second finger, put it on the second fret of the D string. You're not going to put it directly right behind the fret because our third finger has to go directly behind the fret on the G string, okay? And then our first finger goes on the first fret of the B string, which is the note C, okay? Right now we're not really thinking about the notes, but it's later you want to fill these in. This is the note A, E, A, C, E. So you'll notice there's only three notes in that chord. A, C, E is how we spell A minor, okay? So you want to check these one note at a time. Something I teach my students is to think about the three P's. Pressure, meaning that you're pressing down hard enough. Posture, meaning that you're arching your fingers, and if you have good posture and good placement, which is the third P, you don't need very much pressure if your guitar is set up nicely. So again, pressure, posture, placement, and so I'm going to check them one note at a time, just to make sure everything is ringing nice and clear before I actually strum. Because if you just strum kind of quickly, you might have some muted notes in there that you're not noticing if you don't check yourself one note at a time first. So this is the A minor chord. Be patient with yourself. It might take you a week or two to get comfortable. You can leave your second and first finger down. Just move your third finger over here. Okay, if you need to lift up for a second, it's okay. But once you've kind of got that C placed, it should really just be your third finger moving back and forth. Can you see how my second and first fingers, they they change their angle a little bit, but they don't actually lift up. And that enables you to strum. Very easy to switch between once you get it down. If you guys already know A minor and C, if someone's more advanced and you're in guitar 1, you can challenge yourself. This is only for people that already know these chords. I like to play these with 2, 3, 4 when I'm teaching. It's a great workout for your pinky. So just leave your first finger off. So those of you that already know A minor and C, instead of kind of blowing this off and say, I already know these, challenge yourself and try it with 2, 3, 4. It's a great stretch. And later you'll notice there's another video on this that corresponds to this about how to mute the low E string for those of you that are interested on the C chord, because we really don't want this ringing on either chord. So I suggest that you watch that video as well.